results are really great. Just like with the rear camera, we use our AI-based computing engine to make this happen. But unlike the rear camera, this is done with a single camera. So the deep learning algorithms here are key. And as I mentioned, and as you all know, software is really key for a great camera. All right, so comparing Redmi Note 5 Pro to the iPhone X might seem like a stretch to some of you, but I encourage all of you to try it. Our algorithm is really, really, really good, especially if we zoom in here. Not only the edge detections, but the details, the hair, everything is just better. All right, so the Pixel 2 is considered one of the best cameras in the industry, and both of these images are good. But again, if we zoom in, while the Pixel 2 does a better job than the iPhone X, Redmi Note 5 Pro still has better edge detection, and it still captures more details in the hair. Our portrait selfie mode is really amazing. So the second problem we wanted to solve with the front camera is low light selfies, better low light photography. So we have a 20 megapixel front camera. It has a large f2.2 aperture, but it's not just any 20 megapixel sensor, it's also high quality. It's a 20 megapixel front camera, which is a IMX376 from Sony. That means we have Sony sensors on both the front and rear camera. And we combine 4 pixels into one in a process that's called pixel binning. You can see it here. The result of this is that each pixel has less noise. So I can run this one more time. And so when we combine these 4 pixels, the effective pixel size is 2 microns. It's like a super pixel, and that means that it's really, really strong in low light. Redmi Note 5 Pro also comes with an LED selfie light. And we actually spent a lot of time optimizing the color temperature. We used a 4,500 Kelvin color temperature because after consistent testing, we found that it produces the most natural, cool white light, which actually looks good on your face. So you can see how this all plays out in this photo. It's actually taken under very difficult conditions, but the selfie light and the 2 micron pixels from pixel binning make it seem like the lighting is actually good in this photo. So the front camera has great low light performance and our awesome, what I consider to be best-in-class portrait selfie mode. It gives you 20 megapixel perfect selfies. So we have some more snaps here today. Let's take a look at some of those. So we have seen a lot of photos, a lot of front camera, particularly in portrait mode, where they get tripped up on glasses. And this image is really good because it keeps everything in focus and it doesn't lose recognition just because of the glasses. So everything is sharp and crisp here. I think this one is interesting because the algorithm can actually distinguish that this dark area is not his hair, which might be a reasonable mistake. It realizes that it's a plant. The semantic segmentation can blur it out, and if you look at that line on his neck, it's actually still sharp. This photo is great. The colors are awesome. And look at the contrast, particularly of the bee's image there on her shirt. So today, we're also announcing Beautify 4.0. It's optimized through deep learning, and it's tuned specifically for India with tens of thousands of photos that we've taken here. And Beautify 4.0 works on both the front and rear camera. So normal Beautify modes typically use a single filter that applies across your entire face. But with Beautify 4.0, we went into a lot more detail. So if you actually study how people do makeup, it's never with a single brush or mask. So we spend time trying to understand what makeup artists do. Starting from things like the skin cleanser, primer, blush, there are actually 12 primary steps to perfect makeup. And we had our engineers study each step. And that's because it's not easy to understand the effects and the differences of each of these steps if you're just looking at the final result. So Beautify 4.0 can intelligently identify different skin variations and adjust the algorithm based on what it detects. So this area highlighted here is what's called the T-zone. It's typically the most oily part of your face, and that's most prone to acne and clogged pores. So again, if you're using a single filter across your whole face, it might leave behind some blemishes here or over smooth everything in the T-zone. So you can see that Beautify 4.0 does this pretty well. Here again, looking at the blemishes, Beautify 4.0 smooths them out, but not her entire face. So if we look here at this part, it smooths out the blemishes, but the rest of the face still has detail. You can still see contour lines. We can run it again and show you. So that's a key detail. It shows how powerful this algorithm is when it can recognize in great detail different parts of any image. Similarly, Beautify 4.0 works really well on eyebrows. Here you can see the typical Beautify algorithms. Because they're applying a single filter, they smooth out all the details and your eyebrows come out blurred. Whereas with Beautify 4.0, we can work around it. And unlike simple filters, with Beautify 4.0, we can make your lips look even more natural with a beautiful rosy tint. So I was talking about the tens of thousands of photos that we use to tune this here in India. And all of you know what a bindi is. But typically, these algorithms are not trained on Indian photos. And so something as simple as a bindi might look like a blemish which should be removed by your Beautify algorithm. And actually, we've seen a lot of phones that do that. So with Beautify 4.0, we can recognize the beauty on the forehead, the bindi on the forehead, and intelligently beautify the rest of the image. This also works really well with nose pins. Thank you. I think this one is also quite interesting. So because we trained this on faces of Indian men, we were able to tune it to preserve details of facial hair as well. So again, if you look at the typical algorithm, there's no detail in the beard. But if you compare it with Beautify 4.0, you can see individual details, hairs on his beard. So I'd like to give a big shout out to our dedicated camera tuning team here in India. They're the ones who made sure that the Redmi Note 5 Pro camera is top notch. If any of you have been to our office over the last few months, you would see some of these folks walking everywhere, taking photos in all different kinds of conditions. And I'm really proud to say that their hard work paid off. This camera is awesome.